Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming over your lunch to see me talk about culture. I'm very excited to come and talk about culture today because while building the best technologies that we can is important, we're not going to be able to do that to the best of our ability unless we're leading our teams in the best way. And culture, I would argue, is the most important aspect of that. So, hello, I'm Zoe Cunningham. This is a picture of me in the olden days when we went in and were surrounded by monitors everywhere. Um, I work for a software development agency called Softwire. I started as a coder in the year 2000, so a very long time ago. And I've worked my way up through successive leadership roles until I was the managing director from 2012 to 2020. And in all of those roles, managing teams at various levels, I found that culture is super important. At an organizational level, we have really focused on culture. And for us as an agency, that's because we've always focused on being a great place to work. But for us, obviously, that's nice. And we want to work for a company that's great. And we want to be able to say to people, oh, work for us, it's great. But it's actually a commercial imperative for us because what we have to offer as an organization is the people who work for us. So retention is the most important challenge for us. And so we're not able to just pay lip service to culture and being a great place to work. It hits us if we get it wrong. So what I want to share with you today is essentially the journey that we've been on at Softwire, looking at the different, what I consider kind of building blocks of culture, which is why I think of it as the 5 stages of culture. So when we started, one of the things that we had right from the Softwire was also started in 2000, and I joined just 6 months after it started. So I've kind of been there through the whole journey. We offered and continue to offer a lot of perks. And I remember when I was applying for jobs, seeing job adverts saying, all the chocolate biscuits you can eat. And I remember, as a 21-year-old being like, what is this magic company where you get unlimited chocolate biscuits? Obviously, we have evolved, as all organizations have, right? We've evolved the perks that we offer. We've moved away from just alcohol-based events or snacks in the kitchen to offer like home-cooked lunches, to have more family-friendly events. But at the end of the day, these are kind of perks that you get on top of your job as well as a salary. And I think perks are great. Don't get me wrong. People do join companies for the perks. People do stay at companies for the perks. But it's not enough. And it's very easy to misuse perks. I once had someone come and say to me, I'm really trying to help the leaders of my organization become a better place to work. And they've installed a football table, and then they've given everyone a 15-minute break to use it between 10 and 10:15. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe they've got a bit to learn. So perks isn't enough. In fact, that brings me on to trust, which is also something that we had from the start and is trickier to achieve than you would think. So I think everyone is aiming for good personal relationships which rely on trust and you doing the best for people who work for you, and people who work for you knowing that you've got their back and that you are going to live by what you say, you're going to mean what you say, and you're going to act on it. And the larger a team you run, the more challenging this is, because of communication issues, essentially. When we were 10 people in a room all together, everyone knew what everyone was doing. We all trusted each other because we were all kind of just people hanging out in a room in a way that you don't feel when your company is 200 people or your team is 200 people. And this is the aspect of Softwire that when I joined, it it made the most impression on me as being different to other organizations. I had a friend who went to work for an oil company, and they did not operate in this way. Whereas I think tech is a fantastic industry because I think most tech organizations do get this, and they get it again because of the business need of making sure that they keep their amazing developers. But despite this being so key and critical, it's again not sufficient. It wasn't sufficient for Softwire to have the best culture that we could. Perks and democracy and trust wasn't enough. And in fact, one of the things that we offered was something called morale holiday, and we still do, where 3 days a year you could organise team events. We organised whole company events. They've got more sophisticated as we've gone on and we've grown. Last year we had a festival for the first time, which was amazing. But one of the things that offering people 3 days a year to have fun really misses is that, well, what are they doing for the other 362? That's not how many days you work, but the other days that aren't those days, right? It's actually people, however much fun and perks and freedom you offer, people are spending the majority of their time for your organization doing the job that they are paid to do, right? And so we kind of had this realization after we'd been going for a few years of hold on. We've really focused on the peripherals around the job and how we do business. But it's super important to make sure that people are enjoying the day-to-day work that they're doing. And we invested a lot of time and energy into what levers we had to pull in this area. Again, as a services organization, we were doing work on behalf of other people. So we were building things in the tech stacks that they needed for their organization, right? So we were working with the legacy code that they had already, and we had limited levers to pull there, but we have developed quite a sophisticated way of matching people with projects so that, you know, for some people, a legacy code base fills them with fear, and for some people, they recognize that this is a super exciting and important challenge that they can get stuck into. So we've spent a lot of time both working on how we help our clients to embrace a great working environment, and also matching people with the right kind of work. And we really thought we were done at this stage, right? We're like, well, hold on. You know, we've got all these amazing extra perks. We're all great to each other, and everyone loves their job. So, what more is there that, as an organisation, we can or should be offering people? And actually, it turns out that even people who don't state explicitly that or people who don't come across as career-minded and like, I want to get to the top of the organisation, I want to rule everyone, which is what I was like. Even people who are happy in their role and doing the job that they are doing, they need a sense of progression. So we would ask people part of our kind of stage 2, you know, of trust and building relationships was asking people what they wanted. But we realized that actually something that everyone wanted, if not a career, or if not a hierarchical progression, right? Not everyone, titles and status are not always what people are looking for. But everyone is looking for a sense of progression and some way of recognizing their own development first to having the opportunity to develop and get better, and then recognizing that within the organization. So this led us to rethink a lot of our band systems and job titles and how we organize teams and how we prioritize technical roles and technical career paths rather than just organizational management career paths. We went from, when I started, it was like, you were a developer or you were a project manager, and that was your progression. And then you could kind of carry on in that direction. But there's a lot of scope for specialist roles or team leadership roles that are really more of a technical nature than a organization and process nature. And we found that by implementing this and by having it as something we had in mind for every single person, how they were going to develop and where we could help them get to, not according to our predefined, this is the way you go, but what do they want to get and how do we help them get there? We found that really made a difference. However, it still wasn't enough. And the more we looked into organizational theory and why people do what they do at organizations or why people do anything, we realized that the single most important aspect of culture is purpose. And for us, I would say this is something that is still a work in progress for us. We're aware of it. We care about it. We're trying to improve it and trying to give everyone who works for us a sense of purpose. And I think, much like the other stages, it's not completely dependent on the things we have in place already, but the things we have in place already help us to get here. If you have trust and communication, that helps you find out what gives people a sense of purpose and helps you build it into what you do. But what we found is that there is a difference between doing what you do well, which is what we focused on to date, or making the environment for doing that enjoyable, doesn't address the question of why are you doing what you're doing anyway. So something that we're quite proud of that I had an actual photo of earlier on is our Best Companies awards from the Sunday Times. And that for us has really summed up being a great place to work is something that we've really focused on. But being a great place to work isn't a purpose. It's really circular. Like, we're a great place to work so that people can work here and make it a great place to work. But why is any of us doing any of this? So we're focusing now more on environmental issues, making sure the organisation is net zero. But again, this is, we're doing what we're doing and we're not producing extra carbon, but that still doesn't address why we're doing what we're doing. And I think one of the challenges that we have is that we are an organisation largely comprised of engineers with a leadership that is largely comprised of engineers. And I think that purpose speaks to, the best kind of purpose speaks to something a bit non-rational within us all. It's like that, yes, I get that that's the purpose. Whereas we try to engineer things and logically work them out and say, well, our purpose must be, we make software, we make it well. Our purpose is to make great software. And it's like, well, but is it? Is that a great purpose? So that is pretty much my journey through different stages of culture. All of it is super challenging and much harder to do than it is to say. So I think it's particularly something like trust. I think it's really easy to say, you've got to all trust everyone. And I think implementing it is super hard. So I just want to leave with the offer that if anyone is really particularly interested in culture or in leadership and management or helping teams to be the best they can, I love talking about this stuff. I mean, yeah, I suppose it's kind of my job, and I work as a mentor within Softwire, but I just find it absolutely fascinating, and I think there is such depth as a topic for study and learning. I'm learning all the time, and yeah, I can't wait to find out what is stage 6. That'll be my next talk. All right, thank you all very much.